Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Odd Story. This is Neeti. It's been so long. We've not met, of course, since last Wednesday, right? Well, times are weird these days. I hope you guys are safe. You're staying home and taking good care of yourself, having steam properly, and drinking some warm water. Most importantly, not coming in contact with people because honestly there's so much negative news around, and this time second wave of covid is actually a serious thing. Well, I hope you guys take good care of yourselves. For now, today we are going to do something different than we normally do. So normally what we do is I give you some tips or I tell you like what we can do, and sometimes there's a vlog. Today, I am going to edit a proper episode, a podcast episode right in front of you. So today I'm going to open Audacity, which is the software which I'm going to use today, and I will use that right in front of you so that you understand how can you also edit your podcast without the help of others or a professional. So coming back to today's episode, of course there is Audacity. Then you can, if you have Apple, you can actually use GarageBand. It is equally simple. Now why am I always talking about Audacity as the best software to work on? Because it is totally free and yet very easy to use. I've used a couple of recording software since my radio days and since my podcasting journey also, but nothing beats Audacity because it's very simple, and for beginners it's the most easy thing to do. Well, do you remember my first episode? We did some Audacity editing in that particular episode also, but it was this much of a snippet. I'm sharing the link here because apart from Audacity, we also learned few more apps which you can use if you are beginning your journey as a podcaster. Because in totality, all these 6 apps will be really helpful. So please find the link here, and it is there below in my description also, and you can check that particular video as well. And that was my first video. With that, I started my YouTube journey as well. For now, let us just start figuring out how to edit our episode on Audacity. Dive right in. So today I'm going to teach you how to actually edit your episode on Audacity. Now why Audacity? I've already told you it's a free software and it is, trust me, the best software to work around. Plus it goes well with Windows and Mac, that is iOS both. So it's an easy software to work around. So first let us open Audacity. Okay. Alright. I will tell you how to record also on Audacity if you want to do that. So you just press this record button and we are already recording. But today the focus is not on recording but on editing. So I'm going to pause this and I'm going to delete this. So what I have already done is I have already recorded my intro, outro and the body of the episode, and I have my musical underlay, that is going to be my music, my podcast music, that is also ready. So we're just going to remix or assemble everything together for this episode. Let us start. Okay. Now first let us import audio. This is my musical piece. Ready? Now let us import my body, or first I'll import my intro because that is going to be the next thing. Then I'll import, okay, that is my body, and here comes my outro. So now everything is aligned together. First and foremost, what you can do is, can you see this plus button? If you press this, then the audio will expand. See, okay. Now this is my intro. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to place this intro. I'm going to Control X and place it here somewhere, because I want to start my podcast from this particular thing, because if you notice that my music is fading out here. Okay, I'm also going to, wait, let me just make this flat. So did you notice I silenced the audio here? Because earlier what I used to do is sometimes I used to use this mild slow music behind my voice, but today I don't want to do that. So this is how I place the first thing. Now this is my intro. So if you notice, it is placed right under my music and it starts literally from the fading of the music side, so that when my voice comes, there's music fading behind. But now I want to place my body. So again, I select this. You can just cut this and place it here. And if you notice this part, I'm going to drag this. And what you can do is you can press the delete button. This part gets deleted. Okay. And this is my outro. So I'm selecting it here. Okay. Now again, Control X and I place it right in the end. Okay. Here. And so I reduce the size to see where does my music go. So my music is way earlier than my outro. So what I do is I'm going to select this portion again. I'm going to Control C, that is copy, and paste it again so that it moves ahead. The outro moves ahead. Now I guess it is fairly aligned. So we're just going to do this. You know what? If you think there's so many tracks and it is confusing, there's another thing what you can do, and it'll be much easier for you to handle since you're just beginning. What you can do is you can just Control X this part and place it here. Okay, this is also what you can do. Okay, what you can do is you can just merge them together by deleting the difference here. So in that case, what happens is you're putting everything in one particular track and it makes it easier for you to work. Okay, I'm doing it again here. So now I can just cross these and see, it becomes much easier to handle. Okay, can you see there is some extra space here? So how do you edit that? I've done that earlier, but I'm doing it again just to show you. So you drag that particular part, and if you want to be very sure, just press this plus button so that it increases, and then you just select that particular part and delete. Simple. It's very, very easy. Okay, done. So this is how you edit. Now again, if you notice, my fading in music and the distance between where I finish was more. So again, I dragged and then I will delete and it comes closer. Now this is how it looks. Looks nice, right? I think we're almost done here. So I have taught you how you can edit. So what you can do is you will listen to your content as well, and if you think that oh, you're repeating something, there are bigger pause, or you think that it is not sounding nice, what you can do is you just have to select that particular area and you can press the delete button. That's as simple as that. It's very, very easy. That is how you do. Now there are a couple of more keys which you can use here, because if you go in this particular section, the track section, you can mix everything together, you can remove track, but most of these functions you can actually do while using as well. So if you go to this effects section, this is very important. Can you see this amplify? So what happens is sometimes when you have recorded with particular guest and you think that your guest is not very loud, you can press this amplify button and you can actually amplify your guest's voice, so so that it sounds better. And also, can you notice this particular thing, noise reduction? You can also apply this one if there's a lot of background noise, because this particular thing also helps. So these are a few things which you can just learn. And this is fade in and fade out, which is again very important if you are creating your bed. I'll just try and use some fade in and fade out here. For example, if you select this particular part, you go to the effects section and I'm pressing fade in. Did you see how that wave changed and reduced in size? That is your fade in. I'm just going to control Z because it was already faded in the right amount the way I wanted. Okay, so we are almost done here. I think I've already taught you the basics of the editing. So let's just try and listen what I have recorded and see if everything is fine. If not, then we'll edit a little more.
Hello everyone, welcome to my podcast, that is How to Edit Your Podcast. This is Neeti and let us learn some editing today. I hope you guys are having fun with my YouTube channel. For now, let's get started. So today we are going to learn a few steps of editing a podcast. It is a fairly simple game. You just have to use Audacity, which is a free software and a very easy software to work on. In fact, it is one of the first ever editing softwares which I have learned. So this is basically the body of my podcast. I have already recorded the intro and the outro. Now we will mix everything together and I will show you how it turns out to be. I hope you guys had fun today and I hope this episode was wonderful for you and you actually learned some tips and tricks about editing your podcast. Actually, it's very simple, it's fairly easy, and if you guys have any doubts, you can always reach out to me. Well, this was for our episode today. We'll see you next week. You can find me on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, JioSaavn, wherever you find a podcast ad. So I will see you next week with yet another amazing episode of Edit Your Podcast. But you keep listening, and if you have any suggestions, you can always email at hello@oddstory.com. Yet another interesting episode of this podcast next week coming right your way. Bye-bye.
Okay, this was almost fine, but what happened is, if you notice, my fade out music didn't merge with my outro. So I am going to fix that. Again, the simple step is that you drag and you do it. Let's see how it goes.
Next week coming right your way. Bye-bye.
Oh, this sounds perfect now. So our episode is ready. Now what you have to do is you go in the file, you go in the export and you export it as MP3. You can actually export it as WAV also, but WAV becomes a bigger file, we all know. So MP3 is much easier. I'm exporting it as my final episode 1 and I save it. It's done. It's that easy. Well, that was about how to edit a particular episode in Audacity. I'm sure you must have learned something new today, and it's definitely useful for all the budding podcasters out there. If you know any, why don't you just share the YouTube link with them? It'll be helpful for them. Also, I thought that I'll share a few tips on sound editing as well. Just a few general things, a few nuances if you can keep in mind, and it'll bring a great impact in your show, especially this sound part of it. But then I thought I'll probably do it next week. So you better stay tuned if you want to learn a few nuances of sound editing. So you'll have to visit my YouTube page again next Wednesday for that. It's time for me to go. Before I go, I would like to remind you to be safe. Wear your mask if you're stepping out, and you should only step out if it is totally necessary for you to go out. It's very difficult out there. It's really depressing out there. So guys, please be safe. Sanitize your hands as many times as needed. Be very, very safe in your home, sweet home. And from my side, it's time to say bye-bye. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel, Odd Story, and also press the bell icon so whenever I'm there, you get to know. Bye-bye and take care of yourself.